Hi everyone, and welcome to what is another episode of PitstopFracas. It was lights, camera, action in the world of Formula One. This week we had drivers, principals, owners, crew members all get behind the screen. And we got an insight into what Formula One was like from the 2020 season. It was, of course, Drive to Survive from Netflix. Today, I'm proud to say I'm joined by Ads, JL, as well as two new debutants to the pod, Celia and Kech. Let me come to you first, JL and Ant. How you guys keeping?
I'm good, my man. Good. Lockdown, but we're alive. We're healthy.
That's good, man. That's good. International break, yeah? International break.
Yes, exactly.
Yeah, so it's all focused on Formula One. What about you, Ant? How you doing?
Doing well.
Sorry,
Ads, yeah.
See, I get mixed up because it's so many. But like Ads. Oh, it's too many going on. Yeah,
I know, you can clearly see why I don't really keep my camera on. Few times, just chilling in the darkness, But I thought, big pod, big movements, camera on.
Let's do this.
Yeah.
Let's do this. Kech, how you keeping?
I'm good.
Nice.
I just saw in the news it's a year since first lockdown, so time's going by quickly. I'm glad.
Yeah, I know. Have you been keeping? You've been keeping well in lockdown?
Yeah, I think I'm kind of used to it now. It's the new normal.
Yeah, nice. And I suppose as it's your first time, we always ask this question. What's your favorite F1 memory, moment, driver, track?
Boy, favorite track, I have two: Singapore and Monaco.
Yeah.
Favorite driver is Hamilton, obviously.
Of
hence
course.
The picture. And favorite memory, boy, I have too many. But I would say the most recent favorite memory is Hamilton on three tires. 3 tires he had, yeah.
Mm-hmm.
That was my most favorite recent one.
Nice. And last but not least, Celia, CC, how you keeping?
Hey, good, thank you. How's it going, guys?
And your favorite F1 memory, driver, track, moment, or is it just Drive to Survive?
I'm kind of new to F1, but I would say my most recent favorite memory would have to be Perez starting from the back and coming to win. Like it was. He's not my favorite. Hamilton's my favorite, but Perez has like a really strong place in my heart. So I can't lie to you guys. I'm here for it. So yeah, that's definitely my favorite. My favorite track is probably Singapore. Actually, I really like it. I like Monza. That's Yep, I like that one as well. I quite enjoy the speed.
Yeah,
it's fast paced.
Monza this year was top draw, and we'll touch on that track in a bit. So yeah, look, before we get into it, without any interruptions, we might as well get straight into it. Netflix this year, we saw fights, we saw arguments, we saw cheeks, we saw people arguing with the owners, we saw media strategists coming at people. It was hectic. It was top stuff. And I suppose we should just get straight into it. One of the key highlights for me that I saw was the Mercedes episode with Valtteri Bottas showing us supposedly what he's made of, and how he wants to sort of not be considered that number 2 driver. So let me come to you first on this. Ads, what was your take on that episode with Valtteri Bottas?
It was funny, man. That was a funny episode, I'm not gonna lie. Like, maybe because I already watched I already have like the context of the season, so like watching it and seeing how he's like talking about I'm here to challenge Lewis for the title, trying to make sure that, you know, I don't not consider the number 2. And then you see what happened throughout the season. It was actually proper funny to me, to be honest. Like, that guy is funny. Like, his the way he drives, like the way he races, you know, the way he is. Like, I don't know if anyone saw my tweet a long while ago, you know, that on my feelings about him. Like, I just think that guy waffles too much. Like, he talks a lot. He just doesn't manage to translate it onto the track. He managed to like the way he was portrayed in the show, like the way he's been portrayed in the show before as well. He's always been kind of that, you know, that plucky guy. They portray him this in the similar way they portrayed him, you know, Ricardo in terms in relation to Verstappen. I think it's a season or two ago in Drive to Survive, where, you know, Ricardo was the good guy, and Hamilton and Verstappen was the bad guy, technically, even though there's not really much towards them, and they're just kind of like healthy rivals. And if this way, it feels that way in the way that they portrayed him in this episode, except worse, because at least with Ricardo and Verstappen, there was some kind of competition. With Bottas, he's not doing nothing. You know what I mean? To the point where, you know, obviously one of the later episodes was talking about, and they barely mentioned it, but with Russell, if we all know what happened with Russell when he came into that car and how we showed him up, like that, if they gave that episode, if they showed the Bottas episode and then they did an episode on Russell after that, it would be proper funny. Like, you know what I mean? So
yeah, I suppose that again was one of the sticking points and one of the things that we probably would have liked to see, but obviously you can't follow every track, every team at every circuit. Now, look, I don't want to laugh, but thinking back to that episode, like the first couple of scenes, I just need to like erase that like from my memory. I'm not even like joking. Like, that was I need to kind of put that to like the back of my head. But it was one of the key talking points. You know, everyone was talking about it. I mean, I've sort of never seen that on any sort of Drive to Survive videos. Let me come to you on this, Celia. What was your take on that sort of opening scene with Bottas? And then from there, I actually want to ask you about how he actually performed in qualifying and whether or not he actually meant to, in Russia, qualify third, or do you reckon it was just a case of bad driving?
You know what?
Try not to laugh and try not to make the rest of us laugh, please.
No. At first, I felt kind of sorry for him, if I'm honest. Like, nobody likes to be number 2, even if you are number 2. I mean, it was rather unfortunate, to be honest. But in terms of qualifying, he definitely meant it. Because I believe he said it. 1 and 3 are the best positions to start in. He gave him a toe. They said don't give it to him, and he ignored them. He definitely meant it. Or even if he didn't mean to at the beginning, as it was happening, he was like, fuck it. Like, yeah. Sorry, am I allowed to swear?
You can go for it.
Oh,
you can go for it. Don't worry about it, Celia.
Yeah, he thought, fuck it, and just said, let me give him this toe, and let me just, P3, I think, personally.
He wasn't even that sly about it. I just want to say that. He wasn't even that sly about it. It was like, oh, maybe I was just trying something funny. Like, we know what you're trying to do, bro.
Yeah. But he's not a sly person. I think.
Yeah, when he said whether he did it on purpose, he was like, only he will know.
Yeah.
He's not really a sly person, because also I do think that him being Finnish, they are really like they are weird like that. Not weird, that's a bit mean. But they are a bit.
But they're just focused. Yeah, they're like focused. Like, I'm gonna win. I'm not gonna be Mr. Nice Guy sort of thing.
Yeah, and also just very much like I don't know how to describe it, but he's Finnish, and you can tell that he's Finnish. It's just it is what it is. But yeah, in terms of what Ad said, Toto said something really interesting. They asked him, "Oh, do you think Bottas can win?" He said, "I think Bottas thinks he can win," and that's the key.
Yeah.
Toto doesn't think that he can win
In his head.
He's just in his head. He just knows that Bottas has the belief that he can win. But you see, when someone is saying that, you just know that, yeah, he's not got it. It's so unfortunate, but when someone makes that statement, that's it.
Yeah, I mean, definitely. And I think the way also Toto applied himself, you know, a lot of questions can be asked. Personally, I mean, you know, is he definitely that number 2 driver? Is he not? For me personally, from his performance in the past 2 years and past 3 years in that Mercedes seat, it's quite clear to see that he is that number 2 driver. I just want to touch on that then, and I'm going to come to you on that, JL. What do you think about Bottas? Do you think that portrays him in a new light now? Do you think on the back of watching that episode that you think, actually, you know what? He can kick on next year. He can do something. This guy is determined to beat Lewis. Do you reckon that's the case?
No. I think, I mean, the simple answer is no, because it's for 2 years he's been outclassed in the same engine. So whilst people may feel a little bit sorry for him, ultimately it's down to him as a person, and as mentioned, like in when Russell was in Lewis's car, he also outperformed him. So whereas Toto will never say formally he's number 2, everyone knows he's number 2. The same way that Massa was number 2. It's like Barrichello was number 2. Everyone, like, when you have a successful team, there's a lead driver and there's a support driver. So he may not like it. It's the unfortunate reality. And I think this year he really needs to step up, because being number 2, because it's one thing being the second best driver, right? But you still have to be competitive. So if Red Bull perform better, if Aston Martin perform better, and he's not, actually challenging for race wins, not even just second, actual race wins, then don't be surprised if come 2022, George Russell or somebody else is in his seat.
Yeah. I mean,
So can I just
I was hoping. Yeah, go for it, Celia.
Just on that topic, you know, when in the, what race was it? Bahrain, I think. When Russell took over,
Yeah, it was right. It was Bahrain.
You would have thought that was his time. If you get what I mean, that was the moment. That was the deciding moment. I think from that point onwards, people even asked it at that point: is Bottas going to stay? Because you're being outclassed by somebody who's been in a Williams, who's been at the back, who didn't even get a point. Did he get a point? Russell didn't get a point.
Yeah,
he almost got a point until he crashed on the safety car.
Yeah, that was really unfortunate. But my point is, this is someone who's been in a shit car. Let's call it that. Who's been in a not great car, but who's come in first race, first time driving in the car, has a better start than you, has so many issues and still goes up to second, still goes up to first, still has it in the bag. Obviously, it wasn't even his fault that he lost.
Yeah.
But Bottas was struggling. I'm sorry, I can't. It's just, I don't even think he should be here this season. I think Toto was nice. That's my honest opinion of it.
Okay, so Celia, we'll take that point. We'll take that point, and you touched on it. And I'm not gonna lie to you. I've been seeing your F1 tweets about Perez. We know how much you love him. Now he was in what was quote unquote the pink Mercedes last year. Now I know there's a few questions you want to ask us about that Mercedes, so fire away. No, that pink Mercedes, so fire away.
Yes, so it's the pink Mercedes. But all I wanted to know was where you guys stood on the whole thing of, they copied the 2019 Mercedes. and obviously Renault and McLaren and Ferrari all went to the FIA to appeal it and stuff. But I just wanted to know what you guys thought of the whole situation.
So
Yeah, go for it, JL. I'll let you go first.
Personally, right, after rewatching it, I don't blame them. Do it. Like, ultimately, it's a sport it's a sport where you're meant to win, and you're meant to eke every competitive advantage. So in my eyes, if FIA thought it was bad, they'll tell them to remove it. The same way that secret thing with Ferrari, based on Ferrari's speed, changed because they knew not only is it illegal, you should stop doing it. So it's kind of a like if it was allowed, why not? And as I think Otmar said, and I think Toto, that other teams were I guess upset that they didn't think about it. That's my
no. I think. See, the thing is that certain teams, obviously like Renault and McLaren and stuff like that, they weren't ever going to do something like that. I think they were more upset about the fact that it was a possibility for certain teams to do that.
Mm-hmm.
And the thing is, it's really, really funny with Williams because stories are coming out that Lawrence wanted to do that with them while he was still owning that company and they owning that team, and they said no. So then for them to come in and like play a part in the whole protest thing about it was actually really, really funny to me because they're at the point right now where Lawrence bought a new team and he did it and he succeeded with it, and now he almost got P3 if it wasn't for a few reliability issues in the constructors, and they're in a much better position when they could have just Williams could have just swallowed their pride and done that, but they didn't. So yeah, and at the end when at the first point I was like all for it, to be honest. I was like, it was funny at the start, and then I was like, they did it, they managed to do it, they didn't necessarily break any rules, they just bent a whole lot of rules, and they're better off for it. Like that's the spirit of Formula One.
Yeah, I agree.
At the very essence, you look at the rules, you look at the formula, and you see the ways that you can bend that formula to your advantage, and they did that. So it's all in the spirit of it.
Yeah, because what is it? The Mercedes system that allows them to change their wheels, right?
Yeah,
that's the one. That's the one.
System, yeah.
So, and then obviously, like I just think it's all about innovation, and people saying there's no such thing as new innovation. It's taking what existed and making it better.
Of course, yeah.
Now, it would have been interesting had they've not had such a good relationship with Mercedes. If they're using maybe a Ferrari engine, a Honda engine, like would they have done it? I don't know, but I'm all for it. I'm all for, especially if it makes the midfield catch up to the front two. That's why I'm more for it than because I think it's cheating. Yeah. Like if it was Williams, like I'll be like, well, why?
It's all right.
Yeah, it's kind of like you've done it.
What? Yeah, the thing I was saying at the very start when the cars were first revealed, it was like, how the hell did Williams not do this?
Mm-hmm.
What's going on in their heads for them to not do this? Like if the opportunity was there, like look how bad your car is, and you have an opportunity like this for you to do in as low effort as it was. It's not necessarily low effort, but the simplicity as it is of taking existing ideas such as that and repurposing them. Mm-hmm. Why haven't you done that? And then obviously the story came out, they did want it was suggested to them and they said no for whatever reason. But then they've just done it the hard way now, and now like they could possibly be a midfield team, in that AlphaTauri kind of place right now, and they haven't done it.
Sorry,
go ahead.
I was going to say, I just think it's such a billionaire's mindset. Billionaires are always looking for loopholes. They are always looking for ways to win. It's the win. It's billionaires, they want more money. It's the profit, it's the wins, it's how can we do this, and that is what. It's not Lawrence. I always get them confused. That's what Lawrence Stroll brought to the team. He brought,
100%.
as a billionaire, you bring all of that information and all the knowledge and all the know-how, and you bring people that know how to do things. And he just brought better people and just did it and took a risk because it was a risk. However, the risk paid off.
Yeah.
High risk, high rewards kind of thing.
There you go. There you go.
I think just sorry,
go for it, Joe.
I was gonna say, just for for the F1 purists who are watching, some may say, but the whole point of Formula One is to be innovative. Each car you make your own. Otherwise, it's basically Formula E and all of that sort of stuff, and same cars, blah blah blah. But that's not. This is Formula One. This is the pinnacle of motorsport, and I just don't know why more teams just don't do it. Like literally, the obviously I'm not technical, but I don't know.
Teams already do it.
Yeah,
that's the thing. Teams already do it. Whenever there's new innovation, other teams will be looking to either stop that innovation or they will use it for themselves. It's already been done. The only reason this is like such a huge issue for them is because they did it on a scale of a whole car, basically, rather than taking little bits. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So suddenly it's like a huge issue. But
also,
it's the same idea.
I think because the car was competitive. If this was Haas or Williams, no one's complaining.
Yeah.
In my opinion.
And he kind of said that as well. He said that if the car wasn't doing good, no one would really be batting an eyelid.
Yep.
So I think talking about F1 heritage that you touched on there, JL, with Formula One being the pinnacle of innovation and motorsport. There was a team that failed to muster a win the whole year. They got a couple of podiums here or there. Binotto, he was present and not present in some races. But there was one driver, Sebastian Vettel, who you could tell was a bit carefree in his attitude in that Ferrari episode in Drive to Survive. Kech, let me come to you and let me get your take on this. Hopefully you're not going to cut out like God, a Ferrari engine the way you have been on this call. So hopefully we can get your take on Ferrari and sort of Vettel in particular.
Well, firstly, people need to start respecting Vettel because he's a 4-time world champion. And at a time, he dominated just like Hamilton was. So, and you can see kind of that's why Hamilton has a lot of respect for him, which is nice to see. But that aside, Ferrari in this season of Drive to Survive, he was just like someone mentioned in the chat, like it's like in one of my chats, it's like you've given your notice into work and you've got your notice period and you know that you're not going to do anything extra. You're not going to go over the top. You're just going to do the bare minimum and what can they do, sack you? Like there's nothing else they could have done to Vettel. And I do feel a bit bad for him though, because like you could see throughout the whole season he was just depressed. Like it was just problem after problem after problem, and it was very unfair for him. And I don't think the team supported him publicly enough as well. And you can kind of see that behind the scenes as well. So yeah, the episode just emphasized to me that I'm glad that he's got out of that environment. Yeah, no, definitely. JL, talk to me about that mask incident where, as you know, as soon as the episode started, he's been told to put his mask on the right way. He's been told how to apply himself on social media, etc. Tell me about that.
Yeah, no, he completely checked out. He put a mask, or I put it on, wrong way around. He pretty much the same. I don't care. But obviously Netflix were there. Then the whole out and out Leclerc about his
his
clothing brand.
Yeah, clothing brand that Puma annexed it.
Oh man.
He just didn't. And obviously the announcement, 100,000,000%, that was all him. It's all him. It's all him. He definitely called up. Like, yeah, so I'm ready. I'm ready to sign. Okay, announcement tonight. Well, it's wrong. No, tonight. Make the announcement, and I'm signing.
No, Vettel basically said, if you think you're bad, I'm badder. That's
exactly
Yep.
Like, if you think you
bad.
can move mad, I can move madder.
That was energy, though. Energy right there.
I love it because you need to put some respect on my name. That's basically what he was saying in a nutshell.
And he's right.
And he, honestly, 100%.
Yeah. And I think what also adds to is, the clear had been given. I'm not sure if it was before or afterwards, but obviously the longest contract in Ferrari's history. So, Kech said at the beginning we should respect Vettel. I've never been a big fan of his. I respect he's a 4-time world champion. I'm just not a fan of his. But I think at Ferrari, they're like, yeah, no, we put you in as a champion, but you haven't performed. Partly our fault, partly your fault.
Ferrari didn't say that. Ferrari would have put all the blame on him. Ferrari aren't admitting to none of that.
No.
But they don't care. Like, you should have won.
Exactly. Of course, they will never say we messed up. But there are times where maybe 2000 and I want to say 18. Was it 19? It was 18 where 18, he had a good chance until
18.
But Ferrari were to blame for that as well because they were giving out terrible. They were self-sabotaging.
Yeah.
2018. Sure.
But no, I'm overall I'm glad he's staying in Formula 1. Definitely. I hope he keeps this energy at Aston Martin and not the previous ways. A bit like, I want to see him openly speak, talk, be a character, because I'm starting to find that while Danny Ricciardo, there aren't that many big characters on the paddock. Obviously, Lewis Hamilton, but a lot of them are Bottas. They're just robots.
Yeah.
They're young, so I understand why they're very cautious in showing their personality. So yeah, I want to see more Vettel, more him, and more of his, hopefully, his banter, and maybe his hair as well.
Yeah.
Oh.
Wow.
Oh, ouch.
But do you know what it is though? I feel like they must have stressed him out. Like, I feel like the hair.
That Ferrari stress took a toll on him for sure.
They stressed him. And also, to be fair, I do think his personality did come out this season a bit more. Like, I do feel like part of the banter. Yeah, part of the banter is probably how he actually is. It's just that he did it with zero filter because he thought, well,
he's very sarcastic, and he always has been.
Yeah. So I think that's.
Yeah, I think a lot of it reminds me of when I had my first job and I was leaving, and then I used to work in retail, and they say, oh, you got to do recovery now, and clean up the shop floor. I just didn't bother. I was just there, just walking around trying to help out customers, just checking the clock every 5 minutes until I could clock out. So it was just one of those things. Yeah, like as soon as you know the company that you work for has let you down and announced it so early, it's just natural to lose that interest, and it's clear to see that's what happened with Vettel.
So early and so publicly as well. I really feel like they didn't. It was done in a very distasteful manner. I don't know if they were stressed. It was disrespectful. I don't know if they were stressed because because they messed up basically. They're the ones who had this illegal thing which nobody is supposed to know about, but it's very clear and obvious to see. And then you're upset because you got caught. And then you took it out on one person and you beat him with a stick, basically.
Yeah. So, in season 2 of Drive to Survive, the Red Bull lot focused in on Pierre Gasly and how badly he done and why they got rid of him and swapped him around for Albon. And there is no better way to answer Red Bull critics than a win in the sister team. The Toro Rosso, very own Starboy, Pierre Gasly delivered for me, the best race of 2020. I was on the edge of my seat and I was rooting for him all the way to the end. I'm going to let you take it away with this, Ads. Tell me about that episode.
That episode right there, man. I'm telling you, that right there, that's Formula One heritage right there. I'm telling you. That I need to rewatch that episode. If there's any, Drive to Survive episode, I'll rewatch it. It has to be that one. Because
so before we get into it,
yeah.
Do you think he was still twerking too much for Red Bull at the start?
Yes.
You know what?
Yes.
He was twerking.
Yeah. No, you're right. You're right. Still, because one of the first sentences that come out of him when he had the interview was like, "I'm focusing getting back into Red Bull." Like, bro, them man don't want you. They don't want you. Like, even with Albon being dead, they don't want you back, bro. Like, you need to, like, find someplace else, man. Find another girl. You know what I mean? Like, new relationship, man. Your girl already cheated on you. Why do you want her back? You know what I mean? Like,
exactly.
It's done. Relationship's done. You get me? So I was like, you gotta let them go, man. Like, focus on yourself, King. You know what I mean? Like, drive your own race, yeah. And he did that, and he won that race. I think taking it back to Drive to Survive, because obviously we've kind of like deviated a little bit. Like, the way they put the first episode that you get on Monza is Ferrari just being shit. So obviously I was a bit annoyed at that point. I was like, you're showing me Monza and you're showing me Ferrari being shit. I don't care about Ferrari. Ferrari was like almost nothing in that race. Like, they didn't matter. Like, the main narrative was Gasly, Sainz, Hamilton a little bit because of the pit stop thing. Stuff. Even Albon, like, with getting 15th, I think he got in that race. Like, Ferrari didn't matter in that race, and you made a whole episode about it. So, like, that was dumb. But obviously they brought it back, and obviously they did my boy Gasly right. Like, they gave him his starlight, and showed that he won that race, and they showed a little bit of his other points finishes as well, I think, which was really good.
Yep.
So yeah, it was kind of it kind of came back full circle if you look at the whole series of, like, Drive to Survive, starting off at Red Bull, going down, getting demoted, and then coming back up and winning that race. So yeah, I'm really happy, really happy at that point.
Yeah, no, and Pierre, if you're listening anywhere, we love you so much here at PitstopFracas. You are our Starboy. And
come on the pod, please. I'm begging you, bro.
Come on the pod. That 2020 Italian race for me was the best of last season. And look, we can't touch on Pierre Gasly's time at AlphaTauri without thinking about Alex Albon and Christian Horner and that Red Bull team. Now, we ain't going to let Horner get away with it, yeah, because from the instances that I saw throughout those 10 episodes, he was being a bit moany, a bit complaining, a bit like Randall from Recess. Kech, let me come to you on this.
Boy.
What was your take on Horner? Not just in that episode, but throughout the series.
Throughout the series, he was portrayed. I don't know if he's watched the series back, but if I was him, I would not be too happy, because it literally just shows him as a sore loser. And I feel like for someone to be a sore loser when, again, like I said before, he dominated for how many years with Vettel, and I don't remember this many complaints from other teams. And if it gets to a point where Red Bull start to dominate again, I hope every single team finds something to protest about every single race weekend, just to give him a taste of his medicine, because it's just it gets to the point where it's not even. Sometimes it's just let it go. Like, it's not that deep. Like, focus on your own. Like, the time, I forgot what race it was. It was the race when he was when he went to go and find footage for.
Yep.
It was Austria. Austria, wasn't it?
Yes.
I'm 100% sure he has got a lot of things to do, right? So the fact that they went out their way to go and find footage just to penalise Hamilton, which also backfired. That's probably one of the best comebacks one of the best instances of karma ever. Like no one can say karma
100.
doesn't
I was
exist
so happy.
because
Yeah.
after all that noise and your team and your cars weren't even like, it's unnecessary. And I feel like Formula One doesn't need to be that dirty. Like it's literally the best car or the best racer wins. Like it doesn't need, you shouldn't be doing tactics that dirty just so that, and it's not necessarily sometimes for your team to win. I feel like he just does it just so that the other team doesn't win. And I just think throughout the season, throughout the show, it just portrayed him as somebody that was just constantly trying to find something wrong with Mercedes or any other car just to complain.
Yeah.
Even Toto said it. Toto said that. I can't remember how he said it, but he basically phrased it as, we focus on our race, and Christian is always focusing on, he enjoys the tactics, he enjoys the games. Like Toto kind of said it straight out and just said that, but basically they just kind of ignore it. But I just want to say, he reminds me of Frank Lampard in a way. He's a very English man. And the reason why I say it is because
does remind me of Lampard,
English managers have favourites, and that's when it comes down to it, that's one of Christian's biggest flaws. He has favourites, and it just, I don't know how to describe it, but if you watch Lampard's time at Chelsea, like him and Mount, this is basically it in F1. That's the way how I see it. And he's petty, and he's a bitch boy. And I'm so sorry to say it like that, but honestly, I've never seen someone take a loss so badly in my life.
Yeah.
Like literally, I'm surprised he didn't join in complaining about Racing Point, because in the beginning clips when he went to complain about the DAS, one of the people were feeding back what they said, and they literally said, "Oh, it's just him complaining because he can't win, and he's upset that he can't win." So even the FIA know that that's what he's about. Like, put some respect on your own name. Like,
I swear somebody from his team told him that as well. That told him like,
they fed it back to him. Yeah.
They're making
Verstappen said it. Verstappen said it in one of the races. Literally, he was racing, and his whole thing was like, "Look, let's just focus on our own race."
Yeah,
and
exactly.
he was talking about pit stops, but basically that's like the entire energy that they should be having to Hornet in general. Like they need to start focusing on their own races and their own cars and their own strategies and that stuff. Like
and
if you're
it's going to be a downfall. Sorry, I just feel like it's going to be a downfall. Like Perez going there, I'm extremely worried for him, guys. You know how I feel about Perez.
I'm worried.
Extremely worried. Because obviously Perez has a lot of experience and he's a good guy. So I feel like he's going to be able to handle it a lot better than the previous two juniors have been able to. But at the same token, it's the same way, like it's like Cho and Mount. It's just, I can just see it playing out in my head in that way.
Favorites.
And Verstappen's still the favourite. So
the favourite.
no matter how good Perez
but
is.
maybe Perez is okay with that, given the way he's been introduced into the squad and stuff like that. Maybe he's like, yeah, okay, I'm the number 2 driver in this team, and that's fine, and I'll just make sure I do what's needed. You know
but
what
they're
I mean?
always okay with it until the actual races.
And also, I don't doubt that he'll be able to handle it. I'm just saying that I don't want them to. I want him to shine. Like last season, he was one of the best people on the track. He was one of the best. Let's not dispute. No one can dispute it. So I don't want him to go there and
get lost in the shadows. Yeah,
man. I will not be happy.
And Verstappen is ruthless, so he's
ruthless. He's ruthless. Yeah. He'll be like, he'll kick him out midway or something.
Yeah.
Verstappen is literally like old school Hamilton. Like they'll tell Verstappen to move out the way for Perez. He'll be like, no. Why?
Well, but the thing is, I think
you know what Verstappen's like.
Go on.
You know what Verstappen's like. Verstappen's like old Hamilton. Not old Hamilton. Sorry, old Vettel.
Old Vettel.
The thing I've been looking at recently because of Drive to Survive and stuff like that was how much of a villain Vettel was back in the day.
Yeah, I used to hate Vettel.
Like, that guy, his rebrand is crazy. He's had a crazy.
I wouldn't
rebrand.
say it's a rebrand though.
Listen, it's a rebrand, and like
No,
people look at him as the lovable uncle now, but he was a villain back in the day.
But you know what it is? I think because he's no longer competitive and he knows that Hamilton is the beast, he can't have that same energy.
Yeah, exactly.
I think when he was still if he was still competitive to that same level, I think he would be as much of a dickhead as he was, because I think that is part of that energy that makes you a winner. Look at Nico. That's Nico stole. Nico, he didn't steal it from Hamilton, but he was ruthless because he knew that this is the only way This is the only way I'm going to become a champion. So I feel like you have to have that kind of energy at some point.
Yeah, definitely.
Yeah.
But then I suppose on the flip side, if you look at Hamilton will never employ those sort of tricks. He will never push someone off the racing track. He will never
not anymore.
Just try,
I've
never seen him.
Okay, but question. You know the was it Austria? Where was it where him and Albon touched?
It was Austria.
Wait, when they touched for the second time?
When it run him off, and it's the second time because it happened in Brazil.
Yeah.
Watching that one back,
that was on purpose.
At the time, I was like, oh no, it wasn't Hamilton. Now, part of me is like,
no, you know what it is? Because you saw Albon Drive to Survive, and you probably felt a bit sorry for him.
I think that's what it is.
No,
you know what? I can't really.
No, Hamilton is he's smart, very driver, and he's very smart.
No, but
I will not put it past him to have done it. I'm so sorry.
Yeah. But here's the thing, though. Here's the thing. Lewis didn't get away with that.
No,
both times he didn't get away with it. He got punished for it. So
no, you're right.
What's like that doesn't seem like it's some smart thing to do. He got punished for it.
No, but all I'm saying is that someone said that he wouldn't push someone off the track or wouldn't do that. Yeah. No, I'm telling you, when you're a competitive person, you're thinking, who the heck is this small boy coming to try and do that? I don't know.
I mean, either he.
The reason. So the reason why I said that was I just think back to his battles with Rosberg, and every time Hamilton I saw a battle with Rosberg, it was always Rosberg hitting into him, colliding him, taking him off track. I remember there was in 2014 there was a couple of instances in it. 2016 I remember Barcelona, like Rosberg pushed him off and whatever. Even in Austria, same thing. So yeah, that's what I was kind of alluding to. But yeah, every driver's got to have that, streak in them to try and win. Look, we've spoken about Hamilton, and obviously at PitstopFracas, we advocate all the right things in Formula One, and we want to break down those financial barriers. We want equality right across the board. We want women in motorsport. We want all those things to happen in Formula One. And Drive to Survive, in a nutshell, only touched on it. JL came to me at the top of before the pod started and he told me they had only 3.5 minutes on a segment on Hamilton where he was advocating things like Black Lives Matter, the knee, end racism, all these things. Only 3.5 minutes. JL, talk to me about that, man. What was your initial feeling?
You know what? That's episode 10, right? So I'm watching it thinking, there's no reference of Lewis, Black BLM. I thought, okay, cool. So Netflix gives you the synopsis of each episode of whatever. So it mentions they actually says in the synopsis BLM. So I thought, okay, cool. Then it starts. I'm halfway through episode 10. I'm like, what's going on? It reaches, I want to say like 35, 40 minutes now, whatever it was. And then Lewis, I'm like, really? This is it? And it literally was a 3 minute montage from Lewis, plus and the montage was of him as a baby, as a kid, talking about racism. That was it. Like there was no reference as to why they were kneeling. There was the 30-second clip of obviously what all sparked the whole movement. I would like to say there should have been more, but yeah, go on.
So for me, I personally would have liked to seen a bit more behind the scenes. So what was the other drivers' take on it? The people that weren't willing to kneel.
For the best, though.
Yeah,
Some
I don't think they
in
would have
hindsight, maybe
ever.
that was for the best.
I
But
think
I would
No,
have
what I
liked to
wanted
see.
to-
Go
No, go ahead.
for it.
No, it's fine.
So for me,
It's fine,
I would have
no.
liked to see. I would have liked to seen a bit more like what was happening in the season for it, instead of just like a montage of how he's experienced racism throughout his career, his tough upbringing. You know how he's come to the fore. I would have liked to seen a bit more in race about what they were doing in the season at each track, but I just don't think for me there wasn't just enough of that.
Can I ask a question?
That bit, right, which is very prominent, is always, why do we, the victims of racism, have to talk about racism? You know, I think Danny Kluger said exactly the same. Why are you asking me? So as you said, I'm not saying you should ask Sebastian Vettel, like he may never know, but it'll be interesting to have heard from the F1 institution that it is, like what else they did, you know, raise money, raise awareness, have drivers sit in racial awareness classes, whatever it is, because if for whatever reason you were, let's say you're ignorant to Formula One, right? Like let's say I asked my mum to watch it and she watched those 3 minutes, she would think, so they kneeled for one race, like Lewis talked about it, and that's it. It wasn't a great portrayal.
But they didn't. But what did they do? My question is, maybe they didn't show what they did because maybe they didn't do that much. If you actually remember, it was actually Hamilton who initiated the kneeling in the first place. It was him alone who wore the shirt. It was him alone. It was him alone who did it. So that's why I understand why it was only him that was talking.
But then they could have talked to Mercedes.
Well, a part of me kind of.
They could have mentioned the livery. There was a black livery, and they never mentioned it.
I was just going to touch on that. They could have done a behind the scenes at Mercedes, and the rebrand of an idea or something like that.
But do you know what the thing is? It's difficult. The only reason why I'm going to say it's difficult is because I'm looking from it from the perspective of if I wasn't black and if I didn't care about these matters. If you don't, sometimes short and sweet is probably a bit better, because what you don't want is you don't want people to shut off midway. And I'm not saying that it's right or wrong, and I'm not saying that's why they did it or why they didn't do it. But I'm going to be honest, I found it quite powerful when they showed that 30-second clip of George Floyd saying he can't do. I mean, obviously they can do more, and there is so much more to do in the sports around equality in general. But a part of me can understand that. I came here to watch racing. I didn't come here for politics. I didn't come here for this additional stuff. It's nice to know. And that's what I'm saying. And this is not from a personal opinion. This is from an opinion of, say, a viewer. Like, I watch football to escape. I watch sports to escape the reality of life. So sometimes it's like, maybe not make it too heavy. I agree they could have got more people to talk about it and stuff. But I'm just saying on the balance side.
I hear what you're saying,
but on the
problem is that, like, for example, COVID was the massive thing that happened last year, and you can see throughout the whole track, obviously the whole racing calendar changed because of COVID. It was prominent throughout the whole season. And I also think the problem with what they did with the segment of the Black Lives Matter was the continuity didn't make sense, because you're seeing clips throughout the seasons of them in Black Lives Matter and End Racism shirts, but they're not actually talking about it. And then when they did talk about it at the end, and like you guys have said, like they've showed the clip of Hamilton back in the day talking about, it just seemed like it was just like a throwaway kind of, they just thought, oh, let's just enter this into the season. And like Celia said, like, I do get what you're saying in the sense that they don't want to obviously dominate the whole thing with Black Lives Matter, because we all know as well there are many Formula One fans that have issues with it as a whole. However, like, I don't want to hear about Bottas, but I had to listen to more or less an episode in total when they mention Bottas throughout every episode. It could be an episode. So there's things you're not gonna always want to hear about. You can fast forward. Like, it's not. I think that the way that they did it it just felt like it was rushed and they just did it just to fit the quota. I think if they'd mentioned it at the beginning, when it actually happened in the timeline that they were talking about, then I think maybe it wouldn't have been as bad. I think. Yeah, I don't know. I just felt like.
But they don't care. I don't mean to sound horrible. It was a total thing.
But then they should have put it to explain why they were wearing the shirts. Because if you never watched Formula One before, like you said, and you're watching that season, there were many episodes you could see their shirts.
Yeah, to be honest, I really understand what you're saying, but I just feel like it was all of what they did was because Hamilton made noise. They don't actually care about the topic. Yeah. They added that in there for almost like PC, political correctness. We cannot not talk about it, but let's just have this small segment to make people, to appease the small minority.
But if they wanted, what a point I wanted to touch on that you made before in regards to the fact that they didn't really do it that well, like it kind of came up as tokenism and stuff like that, was the fact that, first of all, the major issue with Drive to Survive, as it's always been, is the continuity. It's never in a chronological order. And second of all, if they wanted to kind of Drive to Survive being a series about racing and stuff like that, they could have easily, what they haven't done, and the major issue with the whole series is the fact that they didn't do an episode on the Turkish GP. And the Turkish GP is the GP where Hamilton won his seventh championship, and he tied the record with Schumacher. So you're telling me they couldn't have done an episode where they filmed in Turkey and they showed that crazy race where Hamilton went from, middle of the pack, racing all the way through, winning that series, and then they could have done, maybe half an episode or 20 minutes doing kind of like a synopsis of his whole journey there and the way that race ended, and then they could have tied into the BLM, Black Lives Matter. So I don't want to say BLM, I want to say Black Lives Matter at the end of that episode, and then they could have done that whole episode. It would have been really, really powerful. It would have been one of the best episodes there to talk about Hamilton, because he is by far and away, as the racers who as the individuals in Formula One right now, he is the most important one.
But they don't like him. I don't know if I'm making sense. There is an agenda. When there is an agenda,
there are plenty of people who like Hamilton.
No,
plenty of people.
What I mean, not fans, not they. I mean in terms of within the sport. Do you think that they are actually happy that there is this London or English black boy, mixed race, whatever you want to call him, come in, smash every record, taking it off Schumacher? Do you really think that they like it? Even when
I think they do like it. One because he's
wait 1 second.
No. Listen, I understand your point. I understand your point because of his.
No, I want to
let's see
because Toto said it. It was an undertone when Toto went to appeal something. I think it was the penalty, the 10-second penalty that they gave him when he was meant to win the 71st race or something.
Yeah.
When he did that, Toto went there and spoke to them, and he said it was like talking against a brick wall. And then the FIA said, "Oh, we're not looking at the racer. We're looking at
looking at the individual."
And Toto said it. Toto, I can't remember how he phrased it, but I'm telling you that within that place, he's a broke boy who came from absolutely nothing, who came and smashed every single record, who now is using his voice in a very powerful way, in a way that they can't even control to a certain extent because of the stature that
because it's bigger than Formula One.
He's bigger than Formula One now, so they hate it.
I understand your point. Yeah, no, your point is correct, and I completely understand your point and the point from the beginning where, Hamilton can't escape his skin color, no matter what he's done or how he's done. I understand that point completely. But my point is, cash is king, like he said. how much money do you think Lewis Hamilton has brought into the sport compared to any other race in the thing? Like, that kind of money is not to be ignored. Whether you like him or not, he is the most important person in your sport. So you have to, as the people who manage that sport, at the highest levels of management in that sport, you have to appease him, and you have to, put him on that pedestal as the most valuable driver, because he is. So I think.
But to counter that, however, right, because there is no way F1 as an institution did not have editorial commentary on this Netflix documentary. So Hamilton is just, love him, hate him. At one point, they hated him because he was winning, but he was also doing fashion. Like, Hamilton, the person, take it away, right? But they sat there, they watched this 10 episode thing and said, yeah, that 4 minutes is enough for, as I said, tokenism. We've done it. We're happy. So would they have done it? Anyway, I just think I have no issue with it being at the end, because it's more impactful at the end. But as you said, it could have been 15 minutes. It could have been woven into a better story. It just felt like you are this sole black person. Yes, you are the best driver and the biggest name, but we've appeased you. Here we go. Let's move on.
I feel like it singled him out more, for sure. I think
and also, go on, sorry, Kech.
No, I was just going to say, and I think that, like you said, that at the end is more powerful. I can definitely see that point of view. I just think, like Celia said, at the end of the day, Hamilton was the one that was advocating Black Lives Matter within Formula One. However, Mercedes were as well, obviously, to back their driver, but they did a good job of backing their driver. And I think that there was a lot that could have been talked about, and I think they copped out. I think showing the clip of him when he was younger, and I don't know, but then at the same time, I don't think Drive to Survive is focused on Hamilton, and I think that's because most of us, like you said, Hamilton is the most known person in Formula One. We all know about Hamilton. You're not watching Drive to Survive to find out something new about Hamilton or to know what happened with Mercedes behind the scenes, because we all know. But so I think that.
But can I ask a question when you're finished? Sorry.
So I think that maybe in a way, like now I've been thinking about it, Drive to Survive is not going to be the place where I'm going to hear something that's going to be satisfactory enough about Hamilton, because they don't focus on him. They don't, and to be honest, I don't blame them, because I want to hear about other. That's the only way I'm going to hear about other teams and other drivers. So, yeah.
Just a quick question: do you think a part of me felt like when I watched it, I was like, Hamilton probably asked for them to include Black Lives Matter? There is a strong possibility that it wouldn't have even been mentioned. And I say that with all confidence, that it's a white male-dominated sport. Yeah. If, like I said, Hamilton's one that's been driving this all the way. So what if it's just that he said he wanted it, and because he has a bit of a voice, let's not lie, he has a bit of standing. So they said, fine, you do it, you talk about it because you want it, and and that's just what I'm trying to say. I think the whole FIA institution in itself is probably a bit racist.
Bernie Ecclestone is a perfect example. That's it.
I think it's best I don't say much on that situation.
Yeah. So you know what I mean. Look, guys. We've had such a good conversation about it. In my view, I think we spent 3 times as long talking about it than they have done in the whole episode. Discussing this topic. And for me, it's an important topic about race, about breaking down those financial barriers, about getting women into motorsport. These are all the things we want. Celia, you summed it up perfectly. It's quote unquote a white male money dominated sport. And for me and for the wider Pitstop family, this is what we want to break down. We want to break down those barriers and make it more accessible, make people understand that, this is a fantastic sport and there should be more people getting into it. Yeah. I suppose with the Hamilton stuff, I'm just going to quickly give my take on it. I personally feel as though there should have been a longer segment on it. I would have liked to seen a bit more of Hamilton in the episode. He was not in the episode throughout the series. I think they just touched on Mercedes to portray Bottas as not the second, as not number 2 driver, but on par with Hamilton. You know, I would have liked to seen that fantastic race in Turkey. The fact that you touched on it as well adds. What else was there from Hamilton? You know, a bit more on the Silverstone. You know, bringing it home with 3 tires. All this stuff. You wanna see that. You want to see that skill, that class. You know, you want to see him showcasing his skills on the track and sort of behind the scenes insight into that. So personally, I would have liked to seen a bit more from it. But guys, look. Is there any more on Drive to Survive, on this topic, F1 in general?
Should we just give scores or something?
I
give scores. Ask one question about one last question. I promise this is it. But what do you guys think about Ricciardo and obviously the Renault's principal? Obviously, that relationship was they were so cute, in my opinion. But also, do you think that Ricciardo is going to regret it? Just to throw that out there.
No.
I don't think he's going to regret it.
No, you got regret.
It's shitty that he did it. It's shitty that he did it, but I kind of understand why he did it as well. Because Renault are not good.
It's the same with Sainz and Ferrari. It's Ferrari. You get a chance to.
It's Ferrari.
No matter what, you take it.
Yep.
Yeah. Right. I don't know if that's gonna. Do you think Ferrari's going to do well this season?
Next podcast.
Yeah. That's a whole 45 minutes in itself, you know what I mean? So
let's leave it.
We'll save that one. All right, okay. So ads, you touched on it. Let's do a quick around the room. Out of 10, Drive to Survive. Let's start with you, Kech.
Oh, out of 10. In terms of, I love sports documentaries. I would say it's not Michael Jordan's documentary level. I would say 9 out of 10. Or maybe no, 8, because I think that they missed key moments from Hamilton's races. So yeah, 8 out of 10.
Cool. Celia?
I'm 8.5. 8.5. I loved the Perez episodes. It was the best thing that they ever did. It wasn't even a full episode, but how they portrayed him, I loved them for it. But obviously they should have done a lot more for Hamilton. He's a champion.
Ads?
Yeah, I guess a 6 from me.
6?
Yeah.
6, straight up. No. They missed out too much stuff. A lot of there was a few kind of fake rivalries going on. Cough Sainz, cough Lewis, Lando. Yeah. Missing out, like I said, missing out key parts of the season. Still not being in chronological order. Positives though, Starboy and Haas as well. The Haas and the Alfa Romeo episode, which we didn't mention in the spot, unfortunately, but I think portraying them was good. So I give them props for that. But other than that, I don't think it was that good of a series to me.
Fair enough. And last but not least, JL.
7. Because the issue is we watch Formula One. So we know the backstories, we know the fillers. So once again, I'll use my mom. If she watched that, she may enjoy it, but there's so much, there's like 70% of the story of last year. You know, the only reference of Lewis matching and beating Michael Schumacher's records was episode about Michael Schumacher. That was it.
Yep.
And the whole thing with BLM. So 7 because of that. Chronological order, I'm not too fast per se. I would have liked it, not fast, but it loses its effect when you're missing out big chunks of the story. So 7.
Yep. I think for me, again, I have to say 7.5. I liked it. I don't watch TV. I don't watch any documentaries or nothing like that. I suppose I want to make the most of my Netflix subscription. So I guess on that basis, yeah, it's probably got to be a 7.5 for me. Look, they missed out key races. They missed out key moments for me, and I think, as you touched on it, I'd like it to be in chronological order, really, but
No.
hey ho, it is what it is.
No, guys, no. Sorry, you're all wrong. We're not chronological order, no. You're all wrong.
No. The thing is, I get because there's some sub stories that kick off before the season starts, so I get it. So
No,
maybe
but there are stories that develop over the whole season that depend on the races and how they happen, how they score. Like I don't understand how that's like a thing. How you wouldn't want it in chronological order. Like how are you gonna like portray the Hamilton storyline and him winning at Turkey if you don't show all of the points all the points and the finishes that he's made before?
But if
You know what I mean?
Say like,
And Monza and stuff like that.
But say like with the Haas story, like you kind of did get a full, like with Grosjean especially.
Yeah,
you got a full kind of story. I think
That was a very emotional episode, I will say. The fire episode.
The Man on Fire,
Yeah.
And I feel like they could have incorporated it and moved through the teams, but then it was team specific, but then had extras in the middle of things as well, because they did it to a certain extent with some of the teams, but not Hamilton, especially, if we're being honest. But they did do some of it.
Yeah, I think it's hard. Like, there's too much content to decide chronological order, race order, team order. I mean, overall, we're lucky we have the Drive to Survive, personally.
Yeah.
Because, we didn't before. And official season, that was it. You forget about it.
Exactly. And when I checked Netflix the other day, it was #1 in the UK. So
Yep.
whatever we're watching something worthwhile.
Exactly.
Guys, it has been a pleasure to talk about Drive to Survive with you guys. Kech, Celia, first timers, top stuff.
Thank you.
We enjoyed it.
We'll be back.
Ads, your Starboy done us proud. Yeah, you better be back. Yeah, we need you on. This is international break, you know. This is now it's Formula One only, man. Our teams aren't doing good enough, so it's just fully focused on Formula One. But yeah, guys, I guess with that we got to wrap it up there. If you haven't subscribed already, please subscribe to Touchline Media Group. Follow us on the Discord. Follow us on Twitter. Our Discord channel, you know, it's popping off all the time. It's like a massive WhatsApp chat. We're always talking. It was going off when it came to Drive to Survive this week. So please get involved, join in, and we'll be back with a race review from Bahrain. Take care. Peace.
Take care.
Bye, guys.
Bye.
Bye.